Pokemon has just reached new expensive heights with the most expensive Pokemon card ever being sold for a record high price of $360,000. This wasn't a Charizard, this card was a Blastoise, otherwise being dubbed as the Prototype. This was a prototype card to test what Wizards of the Coast Pokemon cards would look like. In today's video, we're exploring 360k auction price as well as the history of the Prototype and how Charizard has been dethroned as the king of Pokemon.
Are you ready for shredding?
What's up, Shredheads? Welcome back to another episode of the Pokemon Card Classic with the jacked, stacked serial thriller of Pokemon card collecting, Shreddy. So going all the way back to where it all began, we had Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, Water, always beat Fire Pokemon, and Blastoise has just beaten Charizard to become the most expensive Pokemon card ever sold. Now, before we continue with this video, I do want to point out that the Illustrated Pikachu last year was traded for cards of a much higher value than the sale of this $360,000 Blastoise, but that was a trade deal. So in terms of an auction being sold for cash, this is currently the most expensive cash deal Pokemon card that has ever gone down. Let me know down in the comments below, were you Team Red or Team Blue? Do you prefer Charizard or do you prefer Blastoise? Let me know down in the comments below, and when you've let me know, force push that thumbs up button. But today, we're going to be taking a look at exactly what this card sold for, and I'm going to give you a history of the Prototype. So we're jumping over to the Heritage Auction site, which is where this Blastoise card sold. So let's take a look at what the lot described the card as. And you can see right here, there's a picture of the card. It has been graded by CGC, and we're going to be going over to their website in a little bit for the full breakdown and the full history of what we know about this card. So the card that sold was rated 8.5 by CGC, and this is what Heritage Auctions had to say about the card. One of two copies produced, period. And the present day existence of the other is questionable. Basically, nobody knows where the other card is at the point of me making this video. Historic, iconic, unsurpassed. And then as we go on, a lot of the text on this site is just hyperbole, but we'll skip down a little bit. This card was graded and certified by CGC, whose website showcases it in detail and the extent the company delved into the history and authentication of this card. So we're going to jump over to CGC's website in just a little bit. But basically, this was the listing, and this is a good look at the cards. It went for $360,000. Okay, so we're now on the CGC website, and let's see what they've got to say about the history of the cards. CGC Trading Cards has authenticated and graded 4 extremely rare Pokemon test print Blastoise cards. These cards, created in mid-1998, were among the first attempts by Wizards of the Coast to create English Pokemon cards. All of the cards feature Blastoise art that was used on a Japanese promo, as well as Pokemon Blue on the front. 3 of 4 have magic gathering backs, while 1 has a blank back. The cards have long been the subject of intense debate, but 2 things are now certain. They are authentic, test prints made by Wizards of the Coast, and arguably the rarest cards in existence now. So you can see here that there's the different grades of cards. So there's a 6.5, a 7.5, a 6.5, and an 8.5, which is the one that sold that had the blank background. I think the pre-release Raichu would probably rival this if we were ever to see those, in flesh and in person. But yeah, for now, the Blastoise takes the crown. So now we're going to jump into the history of this Prototype card. So now we're going to jump into the history of the Prototype. The first time any of these cards surfaced was in September 2016, when James Burton posted 2 examples in MTG Rarities, Major Misprints, Test Prints, Oddities, and Facebook group. Call these examples Card A and Card B. Burton is well known in the MTG community and sometimes sells oddities from the collection of a former WotC employee. Burton met the employee, Chell Bees, while working at Proctor Sports Cards, a well-connected gaming store in the Seattle area near the WotC headquarters. Third example, Card C, was discovered in July 2019 by Zachariah Maples. Maples grew up playing Magic the Gathering and Pokemon in the Seattle area and opened up his own game store. Shortly after he did, Maples was contacted by the former owner of Exalted Games to purchase a storage unit containing what remained of the store, which had been closed for several years. One of the boxes in the unit contained hundreds of WotC era Blackstar promos, dozens of foreign holo rares, and the third known test print Blastoise. Later the same month, one of the cards, Card A, was brought to the MTG MissPronCon to be looked at by a panel of experts. Most were or are administrators of the Facebook group where the card was originally posted, and all have significant knowledge on the matter, including the authentication of Magic cards. Some of the panel are also experts in Pokemon, and this familiarity is very useful for a test Pokemon card that's been printed basically on the back of a Magic the Gathering card. During the analysis, the panel had numerous cards on hand for comparison, including regular Pokemon and Magic cards from all eras, test prints and other cards printed internally by WotC, as well as local printers. The testing and comparisons were done with both the naked eye and a USB microscope, taking into consideration the various printing processes and the misprints that can occur. The consensus was that the Magic back on Card A was 100% authentic. The card was not rebacked and both sides were printed using an offset printing press. Considering the evidence, it was determined that the card was a genuine WotC product. More recently, another example of the card surfaced and was presented to Dallas-based Heritage Auctions. Heritage then submitted the card to CGC Trading Cards for authentication and to be graded. This card, Card D, differs from the others because the back is blank. The card was owned by a member of the WotC PR team since it was made in 1998. According to the former employee, the card was created for media use to demonstrate what an English Pokemon card would look like. Apparently, it was featured in only one interview that has unfortunately been lost in time. Due to the reason behind its creation, CGC Trading Cards has noted commissioned presentation on the card's label. One other similar example was created for intentional use, but its whereabouts are unknown. So, what do we think so far? Do you think the card's story and backstory adds up, or are you dubious about the process? Let me know down in the comments below. So, in September 2019, more evidence emerged. A couple of months after he discovered Card C, Maples met in person with a former WotC employer named Chris Nitz. Nitz was the senior pre-press systems analyst for WotC from March 1998 all the way through to December 2004. He was also the lead typesetter for WotC and helped create numerous Pokemon and Magic products. Nitz examined Card C and determined that it was a genuine product produced by WotC. He even provided a photo of yet another example, Card E, but this time on an uncut sheet surrounded by Magic cards with a black border. The black border version was apparently an earlier printed version of the cards. In fact, Nitz has stated that this black border Blastoise still on the sheet was the first English Pokemon card printed on foil. So because a high-level WotC employee not only recognised these cards but also happened to have found one on an uncut sheet, this adds evidence to the fact that the cards are genuine. So CGC were able to contact Nitz, who was kind enough to ship the sheet to CGC for a proper examination. Details of the examination as well as high-quality photos taken by the imaging team are below. And you can see here the different images that were taken. So you can see from the photos above that while the original images shared online imply the sheet is only a quarter sheet, it's actually a full-size one that's been folded into quarters. The entire right two quadrants are full of notes, mostly regarding the test print Magic cards and their mana symbols. Nitz explained that printing such tests were expensive, so it's not surprising that WotC put tests for multiple games on the same sheet. On the top right of the corner, you can see the text Poke Test 8 colours and then a little code there. These letters stand for the colours used in the offset printing, which were white, black, cyan, magenta, yellow, white, and black. And Pokey is obviously a reference to Pokemon. CGC's analysis. CGC has significantly more advanced technology than a simple USB microscope that was used by the Facebook group. All of this technology was utilised in the authentication of these 4 cards. One of the first and simplest tests that was conducted was an examination of the edges of the cards to see if they have a core. 4 of the 5, including the uncut sheet, do indeed have a typical core as they're printed on the same stock as normal Magic cards of that era. So cards A, B, C and D on the sheet were printed on normal Magic stock, while card D was not. So we're going to look at card D in a bit more detail shortly. So the next part is just looking at the colouring of the cards, and the summary is that we have now determined that cards A, B, C and E are all printed on genuine Magic card stock and all have the same rosette patterns on the back. So then they examined the front of the card. So all the cards matched up apart from card D. So what they said about card D was, while the foil on card D does differ from the other 4 cards, below we'll take a little look at the holo pattern and compare it to a genuine card from the base set. So you can see the comparison there. What looks like a perfect star on card D actually has a much different appearance when examined more closely. In the photo on the left, the lines of the star are not quite straight, nor are they even. However, the star matches exactly with the star on the right, which is from a genuine base set magneton. So this shows that both of the cards were created from the same holofoil material. So there's more examination. In this here, apparently shows if a forgery was going to stand out. So the photo above would take under spot fluorescent lighting. This type of imaging uses different wavelengths of high intensity lighting to show how the inks used react to the light source on the infrared spectrum. Different inks will of course not react in the same way as they're made up of different elements. However, in this case, all of the cards look essentially the same on that spectrum. So note how the HP 100s and the Canon are both lit up on all the cards, and the background gradient responds similarly as well. The only minor difference is card D, which shows a slightly darker art box. This makes perfect sense, however, as it is the only example produced using a different foil. This is basically showing strong evidence that all of the inks were used, and this inks were the same used across the cards. So, in conclusion, after a thorough examination of the 5 cards, utilising all methods of resources available at CGC trading cards, including expert graders, respected consultants, and all the technology, all 5 cards, the 2 discovered by James Burton via bees, the 1 found by Zachariah Maples, and Chris Nitz's example still on the sheet, were all printed using the same printing process with the same plates and the same inks. 4 of these 5 were also printed on genuine magic stock, complete with a core in the paper. Besides the fact that multiple high-level former WotC employees have all said that these are genuine test prints, CGC's analysis proved without a shadow of a doubt, according to them, that the cards are legitimate. And that's a brief history, or pretty much everything we know, about the Prototoise. Now, CGC graded the cards, but I've heard that PSA and Beckett wouldn't investigate the cards and wouldn't print them. Why this is, I'm not too sure, but CGC has obviously done the homework, done the research to authenticate that the cards are in fact real. So it's quite funny that this new grading company is actually sold a card that's graded by them, and it's been the highest cash deal Pokemon card to ever sell, $360,000. So what would be interesting now is to see if the Illustrator Pikachu came up for a cash deal, exactly how much that would sell for, compare that to this Blastoise, and who knows what the next base set first edition Charizard will sell for. Let me know down in the comments below, do you think this Blastoise card will remain top of the tree when it comes to the first edition Charizards graded 10 compared to this new Blastoise card? What do you think will end up being the most valuable? Do you think that the nostalgia and the demand for the base set Charizard will allow it to triumph over the Blastoise, or do you think that the rarity and the obscurity of this Blastoise will mean this remains number 1? Let me know down in the comments below. If you want to see more videos like this and videos of me talking about the Pokemon card market, then hit that subscribe button to never miss any of my videos. And if you've enjoyed today's video, then please do hit that thumbs up button. On screen now, I've got a recent video, so be sure to go and check that out. But until next time, remember that collecting ain't no gimmick, it's a lifestyle.